All right, well, today we're going to be revitalizing and upgrading my, unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit it, very, very neglected property here. Now, this is something I've been attempting to do for the last 2 years, but it seems like every time we take a step forward towards doing it, we end up getting knocked 2 steps back. The irrigation system has just been a pain. We had leaky feed pipes, we had broken sprinklers, we had all sorts of small problems, but the big problem was we had a leak under the driveway coming from one of the pipes. So I ended up shutting the well down so that we didn't erode away under the driveway until I could fix the problem, which I imagined I would be doing in a couple of weeks, which turned into months, which turned into nearly a year of no irrigation, until finally I got the kick in the pants to get it done. And it was a lot of work. We had to dig up the entire system to get a good mental map of where everything went. The problem that started it all, replacing this feed pipe coming from the well and routing a new one around the shop. And with all of that done, it was working better than ever for a whopping 2 days before the well quit. It was such a disheartening thing to put all that time in and the well quit. So the project just naturally got put back on the shelf for about another year until we finally dug into fixing the well and cleaning out the well house and doing all that. But we got it done, and we now have a working well and a working irrigation system. Because I'm a skeptic, I've waited 2 weeks to make sure, that the sprinklers run every other day and everything still works and it's not just going to quit on us again. And all seems well. So I think we've got the green light to start doing the hard work to bring back this property across the board, now that we have the systems in place to sustain it once we get it there. So the first thing we're going to tackle is the lawn and the landscaping. We're basically going to have to tear it apart and nearly start from scratch, but I think it'll be worth it for the transformation. I'm looking forward to seeing the end product. So that's where we're going to start today. Before we move into the upgrades and all the other stuff, we got a lot to do. We have a lot to do. But before we do any of it, I do want to give a quick thank you to today's video sponsor, Factor. So I have been using Factor for literally years now because it's amazing. It's the trifecta. There's an old saying in cars, and it's cheap, fast, reliable. Pick 2. You can't have 3 in any combination. Cheap and fast, not reliable. Cheap and reliable, not fast, so on and so forth. And I've learned the same thing is true when it comes to food, except it's cheap, fast, and quality. So you can have cheap and fast, but it's not good quality food. You can have cheap and quality, but it is not going to be fast. And if you want quality and fast, it is not going to be cheap. And that had seemed to remain true across the board. It was a reality I had just accepted until I came across Factor. And Factor hits all 3. I get quality, fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to my door that are ready in 2 minutes. It just checks all the boxes. It's the trifecta of getting all 3 in one thing, because I save a ton of time if I'm trying to cook a meal. I save a ton of money on takeout. Even cheap takeout it adds up. Where I can save time means I have more time to be out here in the shop working, getting projects done. And then where I can save money, I have more money to put back into the projects and go racing and do all the things that I really want to do and would rather spend my money on than overpriced takeout delivery food. So it just, across the board, it checks all the boxes, and it is the only thing I have found that did. It's so neat. I can't recommend it enough. Everyone I've talked to who's tried it loved it. And if you're anything like me, you're gonna fall in love with it too. But you gotta try it first, so I would recommend that. I would recommend dipping your toes in the sand and seeing what you think. So if you're interested in trying it out for yourself, head to factor75.com or click the link down below and use code TaylorDrifts50 to get 50% off your first Factor box, as well as 20% off your next month of orders. So it's a great deal, a great way to try it out and just see for yourself if it's for you or not. Because maybe it's not for you, but I'd be willing to bet it probably is. It's been amazing for me. So that being said, huge thank you to Factor for sponsoring not only today's video, but being a long-term sponsor of the channel. They are a big part in making all of this a reality, making these projects happen. So huge thank you to them, and huge thank you to those of you who support them. That being said, we gotta get to work. We got a lot to do, so I'm gonna get to it. So we're actually not going to be using my poor dilapidated marketplace mower here. I got something new that I'm pretty excited about. All right, so this is our new remote controlled lawnmower. I don't know if I ever thought I'd see the day where you'd have a remote control lawnmower, but here we are. Now, I'm pretty excited about this thing. I am optimistic about it, but I'm not one to count my chickens before they hatch or believe promotional marketing material I like to see firsthand for myself. So I've already tested it a little bit. Obviously, I put it together and I couldn't help myself. The yard didn't really need to be mowed, but I did some mowing with it just to see how it did. I also did some leaf picking up. That was a big selling point for me, is that it has like a vacuum feature where it's supposed to suck up leaves and bag them. And it actually worked pretty well for that. So I've done some side quests, and as you can see, we're at 3 out of 4 bars on the battery. I've not charged it since then. So my hope is that after those side quests, we can still do the whole yard without having to charge it. And if so, that gives me enough headroom to say that I can comfortably get rid of the big marketplace mower because we won't need it anymore. And that would be the hope, but we won't really know until we try. There's also the fact of mowing the lawn with a remote control. In my head, it's gonna be great, but in reality, it might not be. So there's a few things we gotta figure out. So let's try it out. I'll never get over that. So I've got really high hopes for this mower. I'm hoping this works out and I can replace my big mower with it. And really the biggest thing I'm unsure on that could be great or not great is the remote controlled aspect. At first it's weird driving this thing around, like seeing a mower go through your yard and seeing grass be cut and you're not necessarily with it is odd, but I definitely felt like I needed to kind of babysit it at first just to see the cut lines and where things were going. But as I started to get more comfortable and I'm kind of moving and grooving with it, I'm able to move to the shade, which I think is really the biggest benefit of the remote controlled aspect, is that you don't have to be with it. So the mower can be out getting blasted by the sun and I get to stand in the shade. Now, don't get me wrong, when you get far enough away, it's a little tricky to see where you already cut and where you haven't, but so far, it's pretty nifty. It's pretty nifty. We'll see if it makes it through the yard. This is where I put all the leaves. That's 3 leaf collections. So I definitely underestimated how quickly the bag fills and would let this thing get so packed to the absolute brim. You really don't think you've mowed that much grass or covered that many leaves, and then you go to take it off and the thing is completely full. So we're cruising right along. I'm really getting the hang of driving it, and we're moving pretty quick. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit slower than my other mower because the deck size is half the size, so effectively we have to do 2 runs to cut the same amount of grass as the zero turn would do in 1 run. But my yard isn't very simple and straightforward, you know. There's not really any big open areas besides that one spot between the house and the shop. So really most of the mowing I have to do is kind of intricate stuff. This does have like a cruise control thing where you press a button and it just goes straight, and you press a button and it turns. But I don't know. I mean, maybe that would be useful if you had a big open yard, but I didn't even bother with it. I didn't even try to use it. So one thing that is really nice, though, is because it is a lot smaller than my zero turn, I can get into a lot of tighter places that I would normally have to weed eat. So I'm hoping that the time we lose on just the mowing aspect, we gain back in having to weed eat less. Normally, I spend as much or more time weed eating my yard than I do mowing it because there's just so much stuff to weed eat around. There's landscaping and trees and cars and trailers, and there's just a lot of stuff. So if we can save a little bit of time on the weed eating, maybe it'll kind of even out. I think we'll still be a little bit slower just because of how much smaller this mower is, but in the grand scheme of things, it may be worth it for the trade-off and not having to deal with the maintenance of the gas one. I don't know yet. Verdict's still not out. All right, well, we made it through the entire yard with the exception of this, small back corner by the container, just because that's covered in leaves, and that's kind of the next phase of this, is getting all the leaves up with this thing. So with 2 bars to spare. You know it's hot when you guys start overheating, and I gotta let you cool down. It's toasty, so I'm gonna give this thing a break, charge it up while I weed eat. we'll do that, and then we can start doing the big manual labor. This is gonna help out with it though, so see how fast we can get years of leaves up. But first things first, we gotta weed eat, edge, all that, and let this thing charge. We need a name for it. I mean, the Mow Raider is pretty good name. It's a Mow Raider S2. This is a 4-wheel drive model, but any ideas on a name, comment below. It deserves a name, just like R2 over there. So, all right, I'm gonna get this done. It's funny because just a few years ago, I wouldn't have even considered an electric mower, but the reason I've been thinking about one before I got that one is because of these. So when I got this house, I was debating going gas or electric for, you know, weed eater, leaf blower, things like that. I heard kind of conflicting things about them, so I wasn't really sure, but what really pushed me in a direction was just the fact that I have a bunch of Milwaukee tools for the shop, so I already had batteries and chargers and things, so I just needed to buy the tool. But I'm glad I did, because these have been great. You know, I can literally weed eat and edge my entire yard on one regular Milwaukee 5 amp hour battery, and I have a lot to weed eat around. Or if I use the larger battery like I'm using now, I can weed eat, edge, I can hedge trim, and leaf blow all in one battery. So compared to maintaining 3 gas engines, this was the move, and that's kind of why I decided to give the old electric mower a shot. So far so good. Alright, well, now it's time to move on to the leaf picking up process. This is going to be way more time consuming than mowing the lawn, but hopefully with all the tools we have now, it'll be quicker than it would be manually. We'll find out. Just thing a quick clean. Start probably with this section here. Need to grab the rake though to try to break them free. There's a lot of spots like this where the leaves are just so embedded in the grass that I don't think anything's gonna scoop them up. We gotta really try with the rake to get them out. So I figured I'd kind of agitate them with the rake and then suck them up with the mower. Alright, so we go in here, we switch this thing to vacuum mode. Boom. Well, that did pretty good. I might do one more rake and suck the rest up, but I think this bag is probably way, oh yeah, it's way over full. All right, well, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, we took a little elbow grease with the rake to get those deep ones embedded out of there, but we've got almost all the leaves out of here, which means when we plant new grass seed, it has somewhere to go. I probably spent a little too much time in this area because this is what I see most of the time, but overall, massive difference. So we're gonna move on. Kind of waiting to do some of these other areas till the sun's not beaming because it's hot. Or no, actually, I'm gonna do the well house area. So when I tested this thing's leaf functionality. I did do over here. This was way worse. But I didn't have the rake to kind of loosen them up.
So there's a couple of downsides to doing it this way. One is that I have a lot of sticks or twigs. You know, there's sticks and then there's a lot of twigs. So it sounds brutal when you're going over it. You hear them hitting the back of the bag with force. But it's definitely more enjoyable. I despise raking, and it's purely because I feel like it takes so much time for so little progress. So I have a hard time with it, and I don't know how much faster this is, but it definitely is more enjoyable, so we're going to try to keep doing it this way. But when we get down to kind of where it's just a lot of dirt and twigs and stuff, we got to go back to the old manual scooping it up by hand method. Another funny thing for me with leaves is you'll look at an area and you'll be like, oh, that's probably 2 bags of leaves, and then it turns out to be like 8 bags of leaves. There's just always way more than you think there are. So tomorrow is the pickup day for the lawn waste. So I want to try to get as much of this done tonight as I can, so that way we can get it picked up tomorrow and basically start from scratch. So we don't have to store the whole yard's worth of leaves and grass and all that stuff until they come pick it up next. So all of these areas have been bugging me for so long, and I can't tell you how good it feels to finally be tackling this project.
Well, we got up a lot of leaves with that one. Got these 3 trash cans full just from these 2 little areas. That's not counting for any of the ones we have over that pile. Another thing I've been slacking on doing is all this is like my spot where I put branches and stuff. For a specific day they come to pick up this kind of stuff. And yeah, I've been slacking on putting it out by the street, so I'm gonna do that now. Clear this whole area out.
So one of the things I love about this property also kind of makes this stuff challenging, and that is the vines. So these woods have a ton of vines, which is great because in summer it is a natural privacy fence. It fills in so thick that you can't see through it. But the vines, man, they just interlace into everything. And some of these sticks have been sitting here long enough that the vines have grown through them. As much as I struggle to admit that, it's been a while. I've been collecting sticks and branches and stuff. So we've got to kind of cut the vines out as we go and try to at least clear out as many of them as possible so that the next time we need to store some branches here temporarily, they don't get brought into as part of the jungle. I thought I could just toss them in the woods and they would just kind of disappear into the scenery, but I did that with one spot, and that is not what happened, and they've been bugging me forever. And one of these days I'm going to pull them back out of there and take them to the street and have them pick them up, because every time I go over there I see them, and they look the same as they did 3 years ago when I put them in there. So I didn't expect to go this deep into this project. I meant to just get rid of some of the branches, but once I got going, I couldn't stop. It was so satisfying to finally have that area just not packed full of stuff. Between the hurricane and all the other stuff, we just had a bunch of stuff piled up there. So from there, I went ahead and picked up some of the branches that had fallen around the property that haven't got added to that pile yet. And then it's time to bag up these leaves. And as soon as I started bagging them, I realized that I should have just been dumping into the bag from the start. It's definitely way less efficient to do this double process of making a pile and then having to get that pile into the bags. But this is definitely one of those moments where you do not think there's going to be that many leaves until you start bagging them and realize it's like 6 bags of leaves in that one little pile. Always more than you think.
All right, well, I didn't expect to go as far down the leaf removal rabbit hole as we did, but it may not look like much, but massive difference. There used to be 2 to 3 inches of leaves here that have been building up for years now. So obviously we got a little bit more raking to do before we get to make forward progress with this area, but that is a That's a lot better. So yeah, I wanted to keep going, but I don't know if they're even going to take this much. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trash cans full of leaves, 6 or 7 trash bags, and then all these branches and sticks and things. So I think that's probably a lot for one day. So whew, that being said, right now really is like the prime time to work because it's finally not blistering out. Today was really hot though. It's the hottest day we've had in a while. Like, it was a thing. The hottest day for, I don't know, hotter than normal, whatever. It was 97, but fortunately it was only 50% humidity. So it wasn't too bad. Like, I'm sweating, but you know, it doesn't feel like you're breathing water when you're trying to stand outside. So could be worse for sure, but definitely toasty. But now it feels nice. But I'm tired, so we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Jibber jabber. I'll see you guys in the morning. All right, well, fortunately, they took most of it. They at least didn't leave us any big bags to deal with, but they did leave us a lot of sticks to clean up. So I'm gonna get these cleaned up, probably put them in a can, and we'll just kind of collect the rest of them in a can and have it for later. I do need to try to repair these trash cans. I'm gonna throw them away after this big project, but we got definitely at least a few more leaf collections to do. They've seen some better days. It's also awkward to throw away trash cans because you got to kind of write on them, hey, the trash can itself is trash. So you're gonna use some duct tape, try to just lint these through a little bit more yard work, and then we'll toss them so we can't ever use them again.
When I bought this house, it came with a ton of trash cans because they were throwing away a bunch of trash, the previous owner's kids. So there was a lot of trash cans, and I picked through them and kept the best ones. And these are what's left of the best ones. Now, they were complete with no holes until the hurricane and a bunch of branches and trees fell down on them and crushed them, and them being old and brittle, they just split apart. So I've been meaning to throw these cans away for a while, but luckily I didn't because they're definitely coming in handy in this project, duct taped together or not. So got our twigs picked up, got the road cleaned up. We can move on to more leaf collecting. Now, this area is one of the most important to me to clean up because this is the area I see all the time when I'm coming in and out of the house and I'm walking to the shop and I'm driving up. This is what I see. So this is the area that's probably bothered me the most because I see it all the time and I know there was good grass here, and the longer the leaves sit there, the less grass is going to be there. Now, this is also one of the trickier areas because the leaves are really, really well embedded in the grass. I mean, you've got basically 2 to 3 years of cycles of leaves falling and then just kind of working their way down into the grass and then leaves falling on top of them. So it's there's a lot to pick up, and I've already done a little bit when I was testing out the mower to see how it picked up leaves in this area, and we still have a metric ton left. So we've really got to take our time here and get as many of these out as possible. It's tough because you rake and you rake and you rake, and then you suck it up with the mower, and then you put it in the trash can, and then you look around and it seems like you didn't even make a dent. You still see so many leaves, and everywhere you look there's a bunch of leaves just sitting there mocking you from under the grass, just embedded in there. And I know we're never going to get them all up, but if there's anywhere I'm going to try to get most of them, it's going to be here, because this is the last spot that's leaf covered. So with that done, we need some supplies for the next part of this project because we're moving away from the front of the house and moving to the back. So made a quick Lowe's trip, got us some supplies, and hopefully they'll make our life a little bit easier.
All right, well, I picked us up a new seed/fertilizer spreader. Yeah, so this is our new one. This is our old one. This whole thing is, it's actually growing an ecosystem in it since the last time I used it. See how this one has a guard down here so it doesn't spray it backwards? This one does not have that. So when you're walking, most of the seed is ending up in your shoes. So I've been wanting to replace it for a while. This one's a little bit larger too, which is good. This one you gotta refill all the time. So yeah, we got that. I also picked us up a lawnmower trailer. Oh gosh. This is something I wanted to get for a while for doing this kind of stuff. Now that we're not working at the very front of the property, it's like
of all the some assembly required things that I've had to deal with, and usually it's an unexpected level of assembly required, this little cart actually wasn't that bad. It went together pretty quick and seems pretty sturdy.
Alright, well, the original plan was to, for now, tow this thing behind the marketplace mower until we get rid of it, because the plan is to replace it with a golf cart. I've wanted a golf cart for a while now because really my whole life, like as a kid, riding golf carts was the coolest thing. It had a steering wheel. But where I live, the city I live in, and where I live in the city, you can legally ride golf carts on the street. Now I can go a lot of places. I can do most of my day-to-day in a golf cart, which would just be cool. And to be able to take it to the track. So that's my justification, but I couldn't really justify the space and the money while I still had the large mower. But now that we know that that one does the yard no problem, we can get rid of the large mower and get a golf cart. So the long-term plan, the main reason I got this is because we will have a golf cart and we'll have a little trailer to do stuff. But in the meantime, tow it behind that mower. However, I had a little bit of a cheeky idea, and it's kind of silly. I don't know if it's gonna work, but like I have to try it. Let me show you. So I was thinking, what if we could tow it behind this thing? But I didn't want to like weld on or bolt on a mount and mess it up. It's so nice. And then I remembered that I had just got this super heavy duty camera clamp. So we can clamp this on and then bolt a little hitch to it and have a removable hitch to tow the trailer. Now I don't know if it's gonna have enough traction because the weight's gonna be in the trailer. It might not work at all, but I mean, you know, I gotta try. So let's we need to make a little bracket for this thing for our hitch. This is the one I made for the large mower, and as you can see, I haven't used it in so long that it's pretty crusty dusty. So yeah, just try. You know, we gotta try. We gotta try. Can't not try. This old battery hold down might be the answer. I gotta make sure that we need to use that hole for this, and then these holes here. It's like there's part of me that knows I shouldn't be wasting time on this because I have that mower, but the other part of me is like, it would be so cool if this works. Okay, we just gotta drill that hole out a little bigger, but it should be good. I should be able to pivot. It'll only take us a few minutes. I'm not wasting that much time. Nailed it. Oh, we're gonna need washers because these bottom out. Clamp on hitch. Now, obviously, to use this, we have to remove the bag, which has leaves in it. I did not realize. All right. Oh, no problem. That is hilarious. Oh, this cracks me up. Dude, like nothing. This is the most amazing thing ever.
Should be good though.
All right, well, let's get all our stuff together. Need to find the rake. I think it's over there. Someone's getting after it. All right, actually, before we hit the backyard, I want to do this area. Probably. Going into this project, I had a mental map of where we would need to do this and rake up leaves and all of that, but it seemed like everywhere I went, I found a new spot that I forgot about that had a ton of leaves. Maybe I just mental blocked it out because I didn't want to realize how many leaves we were going to have to deal with. In this area in particular, it's important because it's part of basically the nicest part of the yard, so I'd like to have it look consistent. But there's also a lot of burnt up grass in here that we need to try to get out along with the leaves. So it's going to be some heavy duty raking, but we're working our way over that way as far as the backyard. The backyard is like the final boss of this project, this leaf extraction mission, because it has by far the most leaves. There might be more leaves in the backyard than everywhere else combined. There's a lot of leaves there, and I'm not putting it off. I'm trying to get there, but I want to make sure we get all of the areas so that way we don't forget any and then go to do the next step of the process and realize we got to go back to raking and extracting leaves. My goal is to get this done and be done with it, and then all we've got to do is maintain from here. You know, just when we get a good leaf fall, clean them up and move on. Never let it get this bad again, because this makes it a lot of work. So the only downside for the clamp-on trailer hitch combo invention is you have to take the bag off. So since we are collecting leaves, we have the bag on, and then when you need to move the trailer, you have to take the bag off, put the clamp on. So maybe not the most efficient, but I mean, it worked. To speed up this process, not having to switch back and forth, I think I'm gonna go to the mower so I can use it with the trailer and run, make trailer runs back and forth without having to take the mulch bag off. But I just can't believe it worked. We need to get this thing cleaned up anyway to sell it. Fix up the odds and ends. It's totally usable as is. It really needs some work to be dialed. You didn't want to have to work on it for a little while.
So after getting the easy ones up by just running the mower over them in the vacuum mode, it's time to break back out the rake. Now, I'm still not sure what the most efficient way to do this is, if it's to rake it into a pile or try to just keep going over it until I suck them all up. It's just a lot of them, like I said, are pretty deep down in the grass. They're embedded within the grass. So even with the rake, it takes several tries to get them to pull them up out of the grass and get them to the surface. So I'm not sure there is a most efficient method. I think no matter what you're doing, getting leaves up is just not the most enjoyable thing, but it is pretty satisfying, as you start to peel away the layers of leaves and see the ground for the first time in a while and see those leaves disappear, and it feels good.
All right, your turn. All right, well, pretty good progress today. We had, 8 bags or something, maybe more. And then all the cans are full. Call it a night and we'll pick this back up first thing in the morning. All right, well, the motor is fully charged up. We're on the home stretch of the backwards steps, the leaf removal process. I mean, I guess technically it's kind of a forward step, but I didn't expect to go this deep down the leaf removal extraction rabbit hole, but I'm very glad we did. It's definitely worth it. It's something I've been meaning to do for years, but I am excited to move on to the fun stuff, the next step, the forward progress. So that being said, we should be ready to go. We should have everything we need today to get this final bit of leaf extraction done and move on to the good stuff. So we had a quick side project this morning. It's mower season in Florida, so if your mower has any problems, this is when everyone starts finding out. And my neighbor, his mower, the deck bracket, the bracket that holds the deck to the mower just sheared off, just ripped right out. So he brought it over so I could weld it up for him. And it's funny, my neighbors are all awesome. I got super, super lucky with my neighbors, and we all help each other. They're great. But he's always like, take your time, you can do it whenever. I'm like, dude, 5 minutes, I'm gonna knock this out real quick. Easy peasy. Took like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, because the metal is so thin on that mower deck. I could not believe how thin it was. So it took a lot more prep work, but while I was there, I went ahead and patched up a couple of holes in other spots of the deck and got it all tidied up, and hopefully it lasts him pretty well. But if not, luckily I got a spare mower he can use. So that being said, knocked out that project this morning, and it's time to get back to our lawn. Oh man, I'm ready to be done with this leaf business, but it's not going to do itself. If we want to see the transformation, we got to quit jibber jabbering and get back to work.
So it's time for the main course. This side portion of my backyard is by far the most leaf-saturated area. Literally the entire section of the yard is covered in a blanket of leaves, and it has been for a while because there's a lot of trees there. When I blow out the gutters, the leaves end up there. There's just a lot of leaves to deal with, but fortunately there's not really much grass left to deal with, which is a bad thing, but at the same time, getting the leaves out of the grass when they're really deep down there is probably the hardest, most strenuous part. Just kind of raking them into a pile and scooping them up with the mower it's not too bad. It goes pretty quick. But while it's easier for us to scoop up the leaves because there's no grass, that means we have more work to do to build back the yard. And the goal here is to get our grass structure back, because what happened is the grass got kind of weak, and then with it being weak, it gets torn up very, very easily. So the dogs running around and doing stuff like that, it gets torn up, and then it just goes downhill very quickly. So if we can build back a good grass structure, we should be good. It should hold up a lot better. So we got most of them sucked up with the mower, but when you get into the corners, there was a lot collected there. So I didn't even bother trying to do that. I just went ahead and bagged them up by hand because it was such a big concentrated pile. Man, it is time consuming, but it is very satisfying.
It's all just from today. First part of the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe. It's a lot of bags.
So now that we were through the simple portion, where everything's just a straight line, it's time to get into the more complicated portion. The main part of the backyard is very patchy. So there's grass, there's burnt up grass, there's leaves in the grass, there's leaves in the dirt. It's a mixed bag. It's a variety pack. So it's a little bit trickier to plan for, and I'm kind of all over the place with it. But at the same time, it is really nice to start to see my backyard get cleaned up. I don't even enjoy coming back here because it's basically become a sand lot, and that's why I'm so eager to get this project done and get some good grass going back here, because I love everything else about the backyard. You got trees, you got shade, you got privacy, but it's just a sand lot. So moral of the story is I'm gonna really enjoy getting to enjoy my backyard once we get through this this process. But we got to put the legwork in now to enjoy the rewards later. So we're plugging away, we're cruising through. There is a lot of dust. That's another one of my gripes with this place being a sand lot, is even when I'm mowing back here, even towards the wintertime, unless it just rained, you're mostly just mowing dirt, just dust flying everywhere. I'm one of those people where I really only enjoy mowing if there's enough there for me to see the difference. You can see the clear track. And most of the time back here, regardless how long I let it go, it's not that. You're just kind of guessing where you mowed last. So we're almost there. We're almost done. We're hand packing the last few leaves and about ready to call this project done and dusted, or dusty.
Man, that's a lot of bags. I don't know, probably about 20, if I had to guess. 4 trash cans of leaves and a trash can of sticks. I guess one of those other cans has sticks. 4 leaves, 2 stick. 20 bags. We gotta do something with those till the next pickup date, but more on that in a minute. I wanna go admire my leafless yard. Obviously you guys didn't see it every day, but it's all cleaned up. This area was a big one. They were real packed in here. Mainly the backyard. The backyard is definitely the biggest accomplishment. I've been meaning to clean the leaves out of here for literally a long time. Pretty much not long after I moved in. I wonder if you'll be able to tell the difference, but there's a lot less leaves. Even without having the grass, having, the lack of grass, but without just leaves everywhere, still a big improvement. Back there, I mean, they were just piled up from the magnolia tree. This area was just, it was just all leaves. This is 100% leaves. Just leaves. Leaves. Whew. Very satisfying, man. I gotta say, I can't believe we did it. We got it to where I think we need it to be to seed it. So that's the next step. However, it's not gonna rain for another 2 or 3 days. So I wanna give this the best chance of success possible. So I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow or the next day, depending on how the forecast goes, to seed it. So that way we get a nice good rain after to settle it all in, because the sprinklers can only do so much. So instead, we do have kind of one pertinent project and another less pertinent, but I want to get it done anyway, project, a couple upgrades to do. So we have a light for the well house. I'm pretty excited to see how this works out because it's a solar light, but the panel is going to be external and the light is going to be internal because we have no light in there currently. And the best place for us to store those bags until pickup is going to be in the well house, but obviously we can't install the light if the bags are in there, and if the bags are in there, it'd be nice to have some light. You know what I mean? So this is kind of time sensitive. I'd like to get this done before I pack it with bags. And then 2 is the string lights. If you saw the last episode of property upgrades, we went to install these, but I needed some little clamps, which I still don't have. So I'm gonna go get those. And then we are gonna hang these up in the lean-to out back where the mower goes. So then we have some light when we're putting the mower up. So, and just cause, you know, why not? These are solar as well. Pretty neat. I'm excited to see how these work out. If they work out really well, I'm going to get some more for the backyard to string in the trees. But I want to test them out back there first and go from there. So, jibber jabber, we got to run to Ace real quick and get some little plastic P-clamps and then do some lights. All right, we got our little plastic clamps. I think first we'll do the well lights so that way I can pack all those bags in there and get that over with. Got our little solar panel with our base. And then this will get mounted to the roof with that bracket I just gave you. Where'd you put the bracket that I gave you? There's a bracket, right? Oh no, it's this way. Oh, it's right here, it's this. I lied. I thought you guys had it. I need to go put pants on. When I use screws, I keep them in my pocket. And don't have great pockets. So I'll be right back. Just hang tight. I'll be right back. All right, I think we got everything that we need. If only we had some light for installing our light. Whew. Done. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, let's try to pack this thing. Alright, well, I stand corrected. 22. Plus 4 full cans of leaves, which is about 2 bags each. 2 bags like how we filled them, otherwise they just break. So 4 cans would be 8 more bags, 30 bags, 2 cans of sticks, plus whatever it was we threw away in the beginning. Not too bad. All right, light's good. Let's have to check it at night, make sure it turns off. I think it's on like a motion thing now, but I'll come check it. But let's move on to the other lights. I'm excited about these. These are gonna look real cool when we're all said and done. Be really nice to go back there at night. And again, hopefully if they work good, then we can put them more places. One thing at a time though. One thing at a time. I really need to sell this thing. Oh, I thought I'd use it a lot more than this. All right, we got our solar panel, our brackets, our lights here. I think I'm gonna start in the middle here. Boom, down, middle. I think that'll look the most natural. We're running out of daylight. Come on, we're so close. Need the screwdriver.
So trying to get the spacing right on these lights is a little bit tricky because you don't want them to be strung super tight. You want them to have a little bit of slop and hang down and almost a little bit of non-uniformity for it to all look right. But at the same time, I'm trying to make sure that they're even, you know, and where we started on the one side is where we end on the other side. Ideally, they'd go all the way to the building, but unfortunately, they're not quite long enough for that.
Doing some solar panel lights. More solar panel lights. Did you get a chance to test out the mower? I haven't seen you in forever. Sonny. What's up, dude? Nice. All right, well, I'm gonna clean up and then we'll check back in on these lights at night. It's always way more satisfying to see the big reveal at nighttime, so hang tight. We'll be back. Let's go check out these lights. All right, it doesn't look like it's on. I think I would see it if it was on, but let me try to check. Definitely not on. I think it should come on with motion. Oh, that is awesome. I thought I'd have to come in here and grab the remote, but that's literally perfect. Motion light, you open the door, light comes on. Nice. So many bags, gosh. Oh, so many bags. All right, well, that one's good. Happy with that. Now for the ones I really want to see. Yeah, that's sick. That is awesome. That is literally exactly what I was going for. Oh man, that looks so cool. Yeah, that looks good, man. I'm very, very pleased with that. I love lights. But yeah, all right. Well, that was a lot of work. However, it was incredibly satisfying. I have legitimately been meaning to do those projects. The leaf situation, Leafgate, has been hanging over my head for the majority of the time I've lived here. Ever since the first, I mean, when I moved in here, it was fall and the leaves started thin. And I kind of tried to clean them, but there was still a lot left. And it's been hanging over my head for so long and bothering me, eating away at me, just seeing those leaves and knowing that the grass is getting smothered. And anyway, I'm just very, very happy to have it done. I'm a bit exhausted, I'm a bit tired, but I'm very, very pleased with that. Obviously, we still need to seed it, still need to see the results of that. And we're not done, technically. We still have to do the whole side over here by the container. There's a ton of magnolia leaves. There's like 8 inches deep. Yeah, and then the front between the pull around driveway and the road, and that like planter area where all those plants are, that as well. So those 2 areas and a other little part of the front yard, those need to get de-leafed, dethatched, and seed planted as well. But we've made huge progress, and we have a method now. And we have the old mow raider. Man, I gotta say, very, very pleased with this thing. I could jibber jabber on and on, but hey, man, it worked. It did good. You done good, champ. Let me know in the comments down below if you got any names for this thing. As I mean, mow raider's pretty good. If that wasn't the name for it, that would be a good name for it. But that's its name already. We gotta think of something else. So, jibber jabber. I'm tired. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. But we have more property stuff to do the other parts of the yard. I'm gonna seed it tomorrow or the next day, depending on the forecast. We got lots to come. We got lots of projects. My parts are here for this thing. We're gonna give this thing a makeover, which I'm really excited about. All sorts of stuff. But for now, we are out of time, and I am out of energy. So, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.